Welcome back to our special series on finding your female ancestors. I'm Shanna, and I'm the South Carolina Room Supervisor with the Greenville County Library System, and I'll be sharing tips each week in March on ways to find information on the women of your family tree. Let's get started with our next tip. In my last video, I mentioned a tip to try to search records for every name your female ancestor used during their lifetime, including maiden names, married names, and nicknames. However, what if you are not sure about the maiden name? Not to worry, because I have some tips to help you get started with your search. Today I'll be sharing a few types of records that you can search to try to find the maiden name of your female ancestors. Vital records can be a great place to start to find the maiden name. Marriage records can be particularly useful. If you're fortunate enough to locate a marriage record on your ancestor, this can be a great way to find their maiden name. There are actually several different types of marriage records. Here I've listed just a few. On the left side, I have records that are evidence of the intention to marry. First, there's consent papers. These can be found if a bride or groom was underage, and the documents will show the parents' permission for the marriage. Intentions are what they sound like. They show the couple's intention to marry. They were most common before 1850 and were posted in a public place prior to the marriage to allow others the chance to object. Marriage bonds were popular in the South and Mid-Atlantic states until about 1850. These showed the couple's intention to marry, and the bond was an amount of money that the groom would pay if the marriage was not finalized. You're probably familiar with a marriage license. This is when a bride and groom submitted a marriage application or license, and this document showed that they had been given permission to marry. Today I'm going to be using Ancestry.com Library Edition to show you some different types of records. To access Ancestry Library Edition, you can go to our website at greenvillelibrary.org and navigate to the Learning and Research tab. Then, under the Genealogy and Local History section, click on Research Your Family Tree. Ancestry Library Edition is the third one down. I already have an example pulled up in the Library Edition. Here is an example of a marriage bond from the state of North Carolina. Here we can see that a sum of £500 was to be paid to the state of North Carolina if the marriage was not finalized. Here we can see the bride's name at the bottom of the page, Mary F. Gothard. This was her first marriage, and we have found her maiden name by looking at this record. Here's an example of a marriage certificate from Virginia. As mentioned before, a marriage certificate provides evidence that the marriage actually did take place. Here we have the name of the bride listed at the top. Her name is Pearl Horn. In addition, we also have her mother's name, listed as Sarah Jane Stilwell. So this marriage certificate actually provides quite a bit of information, not only on the bride, but on her mother's maiden name as well. Did you know that you can find information on marriage records from our website, greenvillelibrary.org? From the homepage, go to the Learning and Research tab at the top and navigate to the Genealogy and Local History section. Click on Marriages. On the first page, you can actually search for marriage announcements that appeared in the paper from the Greenville News 1990 to present and Town Magazine from 2011 to present. However, we also have a link to the Greenville County Probate Court Marriage License Index. This contains an index for licenses from 1911 to the present. If you navigate to this site, you can do a search by the name of the bride or the groom. Once you search the database, if you find a match, it will give you the marriage license number. You can make an appointment to come to the South Carolina room to view the marriage license on our microfilm. Are you unable to visit the South Carolina room? Not to worry. If we navigate back to that Learning and Research tab on our website, you can go down under the Genealogy and Local History section and click on Record Request Form. We have several types of record requests that are available. If you are a Greenville County resident with a valid Greenville County Library card, vital records and newspaper article searches are currently free to request. All others may request the records for a nominal fee. If you'd like to request a marriage license, just click on the box Greenville County Marriage License. Then, put in your ancestor's name and any additional information if you know it. You can ask to receive either a PDF file, a JPEG file, or a physical copy be mailed to you. Type in your information and list your preferred contact method. If you are a Greenville County resident with a library card, you can type in your library card number here and submit your request. Once staff has processed your request, we will send you a copy of the record. If you don't have a library card, you can pay online by clicking this button. Are you having trouble finding a marriage record? Then try looking at other types of vital records for the maiden name. Here we have an example of a death certificate from Virginia. The name of the deceased is listed on line 3, and then her father's name is listed on line 13, and her mother's maiden name is listed on line 14. So from this, we can see that her maiden name was Horn, and when she married, her last name was changed to Steele. And we can find all of this on the death record. We also see in section 7, it asks if she was married, never married, widowed, or divorced, and it says she was widowed. It looks like her husband George passed prior to her death. So the death certificate can also be a great source of information to figuring out the maiden name and also finding the mother's maiden name as well. Another type of vital record that can be useful is a birth certificate. For the birth certificate, you're probably going to need to have some kind of idea of what the maiden name was in order to find it. But this can be a great record to help verify the maiden name and find out more information about her parents. And this can also be used when you are searching for female ancestors. If you're not sure of her maiden name, but you know the names of her children, you can try to look for their birth certificate, because then it may have her name in a section such as this where it asks what the mother's name was before marriage. So if you try to search for records of her children as well, records of her children can also give information about her. You can also try, if you notice what appears to be a surname as a middle name of a child, sometimes that could be the maiden name. So investigate names that stand out like that, which could be a clue to the maiden name and help you with finding records on your female ancestor. Well, that's all for now. Join me here again next week for some additional tips. And don't forget, if you're interested in future virtual events, check out our website or sign up for our e-newsletter. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.